big star out of me. They'll make a film about a man who's sad and lonely, and all they gotta do is act naturally. Well, I'll bet you I'm gonna be a big star. Might win an Oscar, you can never tell. The movie's gonna make me a big star.
Hello and welcome to Meet Me at the Movies. I am Noel T. Manning II. Really glad that you took the time to spend with us and check out what's going on with movies. And today we're going to have a little special talking about the Critics' Choice Award. I got a chance to attend that along with Thomas Manning. Thomas Manning over here to my right. Good to see you, Thomas.
Hey, thanks for having me back again. Yeah.
Film critic here as well. We got a chance to do the Critics' Choice Awards. Invited Greg, Greg Tillman. I didn't invite any kind of weird person. I invited Greg.
He didn't invite me.
I invited Greg, and he said he had...
I think you invited me to watch it on TV that night.
Well, I invited you, and you said no, you had to go to Walmart and Waffle House. So
well, I did.
I think
you do what you have to do, and you have to prioritize them.
Tim, I think. Tim, back there on Tim Cam. Tim, are you here? Yeah. Good to see you, man.
Tim, were you invited?
So you did you go to the Waffle House? Oh, you got a... Who's that behind you, man? It's a serial killer. What? What the heck?
That's Tanner. He's one of our shining students.
Yeah. Tanner. I couldn't hear you through the earwig here. So Tanner. All right, Tanner. Yeah, sorry about that. But anyway, good to see you, man.
It's been a long time since we've done a new show. It's been what, December? It feels weird to be back.
Yeah, it's been like a hiatus or something.
You have no idea how many calls I've had wondering when we were going to do new shows.
I'm sure.
Take a guess.
John Rudisell.
No, not even him.
One call.
No.
No calls. No calls. Well, we are glad.
I think I can only imagine it's because they enjoyed the repeats so much, the encore presentations.
Well, we try to do these things that you can rerun from time to time, encore presentations. But Critics' Choice Awards, this is something that we were excited about. I took my daughter Catherine, and we did a little show about that a few years ago, a couple years ago, and I was going to take my wife Beth. And back in October, I think it was, she says, you really ought to take Thomas, because Thomas is writing movie reviews. Thomas has been doing some of these shows with you, and it would be fitting that he go along for the ride. And so we spent a whole week out there and really immersed ourselves into pretty much everything Hollywood.
Oh, yeah. We did absolutely everything good. We, from spending a day on Hollywood Boulevard and the Walk of Fame, Jimmy Kimmel Live. We did like...
You saw Kimmel?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wife did.
John Cena was there. RuPaul was there. That was pretty awesome. We did like 3 different studio tours. We did...
the studio tours. We got a chance to see some pretty incredible things. Some of the studio tours, you had never been to a movie studio.
Right, yeah.
So what are the ones what stood out to you about each one of them?
Well, each one of them was set up a little differently. I think our first one, the Paramount Studios tour, was the one that really stood out because it was basically a private VIP thing, not to brag or anything, but I mean, it was pretty awesome.
It was.
And it was basically a walking tour with some, golf cart intermixed in there, and we had our personal tour guide, and I really liked the way she kind of showed us where we were, like, on the lot in relation to the films that were filmed there, and she would pull up, here's what they did right here, here's the movie that was made here, here's a television show that was made here. And you could see, watch a scene and then see exactly where you were in relation to that.
Yeah, she would hold up like an iPad, she would describe what would happen on a certain street or something, and then she would hold the iPad like this, or like this, and then we would see the scene, and you'd see it, what it looked like behind
that's interesting.
Right.
And it was just, one tour guide and the 2 of us, and that was at Paramount, was pretty amazing. And Paramount's gone through a lot of history as well. It also used to be RKO Studios, and so when I got to see the studio where Citizen Kane was filmed, I was like, okay, all right, I'm in Hollywood heaven. And then later on, we got a chance to see where Citizen Kane had its world premiere at the El Capitan Theater, which was pretty awesome as well. So Paramount, love Paramount. Warner Brothers, and every studio tour is a bit different. Warner Brothers was much more designed for the fan, I think.
Yeah, it was. It was very conventional type tour guide. Very conventional tour, and just driving around on the trolley basically, and showing, okay, here, if you look to your left, you'll see this. If you look to your right, you'll see that. And it was still really cool. And the end of that, there was probably the highlight was the massive Batman exhibit.
Yes.
Where you had like all the dozen Batmobiles from all the different eras.
Also, if you're a Breaking Bad fan, you can see some Breaking Bad stuff as well, including the RV. That is not a Batman RV, but that was the Sony studio tour that also used to be part of 20th Century Fox years ago, and it's gone through also so many other things. Thomas.
Wait a minute. Yeah.
Go ahead.
This reminds me. You told me part of a story about Thomas and the
Yes.
TV series The Good Doctor.
Yeah.
Elaborate.
Yeah, well, we were at the Critics' Choice Awards,
Yeah.
and there was somebody that kept coming up to Thomas, and they kept saying, "I really like your work." And we're like, "Oh, that's cool."
Thank you for
great."
being here. And I'm like, I'm glad to be here. Yeah.
And it just so happened, the second time she said it, I said, "Okay, Thomas, if it happens again, just play along with it and just have some fun." And then we were walking around, and this was after the show, kind of the after party, and I saw a couple of women pointing at Thomas and doing this, and I'm like, "Okay, Thomas, get ready, man." And so they came up, and this woman came up and said, "What did she say?"
She's
Thomas?
like, "Are you who I think you are?" And I'm like, "Well, okay, who do you think I am?" And then she says something, I can't even hear what she says, but I'm just like, that's exactly who I am. So apparently she thought I was Freddie Highmore.
So everyone thought you were Freddie Highmore. Was Freddie
a handful
Highmore
of
there?
people,
He
yeah.
wasn't
He
there,
wasn't
wasn't he?
there, yeah.
He wasn't there, but he had been nominated for something, I
Right.
believe, for The Good Doctor.
Good Doctor, yeah.
And so, she keeps talking and chatting. She's like, "You're just one of my favorite actors working today. Your work is so inspiring to me." And she was like, "My husband's just going to be so happy to see that I got a picture taken with Norman Bates because he was on the Bates Motel." I'm like, "That's me." Yeah. So,
She went home. She showed her husband. Go, that's not Freddie Highmore.
Well, she had a friend with her who was actually a film critic
Yeah.
from Wilmington, North
Yeah.
Carolina.
Really?
And her film critic friend was like, she kept telling her, "I think you're drunk.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think you're drunk." But we just played along with it, and so Thomas's picture is showing up.
So now we know that if you're drunk, he looks like Freddie Highmore.
Or
Basically,
Thomas Sangster. Thomas Sangster is another actor that Thomas has been confused about,
Yeah.
same first name.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty fun.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, we did the studio tours, and they were all different and good for different
Yeah,
reasons.
yeah.
But Paramount really stood out to me.
Right.
Warner Brothers, this is the second time I've been to Warner Brothers, and it's different each time because they do take you into some live sets, and so we got to see the Lily Tomlin, Jane Fonda series that's going on. We got
Yeah.
to see that set, the stage, and then the Goldbergs.
Oh yeah.
If you're a fan of the Goldbergs, we got to see. They have 2 sound stages that they use, and that was pretty elaborate.
Yeah, I think the Goldberg set was actually on the Sony lot, I believe.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And it was really interesting to see. It's an entire building, but each section of the building is blocked off for a different part of the show. Like you would have, here's where they film the scenes in the home, and then just a few rooms over is where they film the scenes in the school. And you have the lockers in there, and it's interesting. They're like, "No, that is a water fountain, but it's just a prop water fountain. If you want something to drink, you can't get anything out of there." And it was really interesting to see just the entire set, each section blocked off like that.
Yeah, and they had one classroom, and they said, "Now this is the same classroom we use for every single class.
Yeah.
We just changed the posters and changed the things written on the board
Yeah.
and changed the desk around a little
Yeah.
bit."
So if you're someone like me who's not a VIP, and you take these tours, what would we not see that you saw? Is this the studios,
I think
sets, and
I think
things
it's
like
see the
that,
same
or what?
stuff.
Yeah,
Because it was the
You
big
ju- or you
difference-
just had more personal attention
Absolutely.
and
Right.
Q&A with,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, it was just, we weren't having to, like when we went on the other tours, like we went on Warner Brothers with the whole group of 8 or so people.
Yeah, yeah.
I see.
In the same way with Sony, but Paramount was the only one. It was just the 2 of us and
Yeah.
the tour guide. So the big difference is you get really kind of one-on-one.
I need to do
personal
that
attention.
stuff sometime. That'd
Yeah.
be fun. You know where else I'd like to go when I get out there? I'd love to go to, and that sounds morbid, the cemeteries.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to see where
Yeah.
Chaplin's
Yeah.
buried or whatever,
Yeah.
whoever.
Well,
I think
you
that'd
know,
be interesting.
Speaking of cemeteries, don't know why this is a segue, but it reminded me of it because I guess because there's always a lot of death in Quentin Tarantino's films. One of the things that really stood out to us, just as an experience standpoint, is seeing Tarantino's theater
Yeah, yeah.
and watching a certain film there.
Yeah, so the New Beverly Cinema right there, the kind of Beverly Hills area, and we saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, his film that's been nominated for multiple Oscars and multiple Critics' Choice Awards, and it was there in his theater. It's an old-fashioned theater. I guess it's similar to the Don Gibson Theater here in Shelby.
Yeah. You had a question?
Does he play only his own films there?
No, he plays other films that he loves.
Okay.
So Rosemary's Baby.
His inspirations.
And also
Yeah.
new films. It's new stuff, but
Yeah.
classic stuff too. And we went on a Saturday night. It was packed.
Yeah, it was.
It was. I mean,
It was sold out,
It was
basically,
sold
yeah.
out. But there was a special guest.
Yeah.
That there was no advance publicity about who has a Tarantino connection.
Yeah, well, out in the lobby, pre-show, you texted me, you were out there like getting water. You're like, hey, Michael Madsen's out here. I'm like, Michael Madsen? My goodness. And he has a small role in the film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And he's a frequent Tarantino collaborator. He's been in, he was in Reservoir Dogs, Tarantino's first film. He was in Kill Bill. He was also in The Hateful Eight. And he did 30-minute post-show Q&A.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was there.
That's
He
great.
was there with his entire family, like 2 sons and his wife.
And we talked to
Yeah.
his sons after the screening
Yeah.
for good 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
And we had a good conversation with them.
Yeah, and he's just such a great storyteller. He has like the most gravelly voice you will ever hear. So anything he says automatically sounds like 10 times cooler than it would just coming from a normal person.
Douglas Davidson, he got to join us that night too, and he got to go to the awards show as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just
Did Douglas have a good time?
Oh man, he had a blast.
I kind of thought he
Yeah,
probably
He had a
did.
blast because this was his first time in California, and so he actually ended up renting a car. And they tried to get him to do
That's
the,
insane.
It was, but they tried to get him to do the kind of Hollywood experience. They're like, hey, we can give you this like convertible or this Maserati. He's like, no, thank you, but no. But that was a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, it was. And just watching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and then seeing the sights and the sounds in the movie that we've just been walking through over the past few days. We were there with Douglas and then Daryl Monsell. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I'm sorry, Daryl, but if you're watching, but as he put it, it was meta. So,
it was very much
it
meta.
really was.
Yeah, being in that experience. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk about the Critics' Choice Awards itself, and also some time we got to spend with Chewbacca and some stormtroopers. That and maybe more right after this quick break.
They're gonna